This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
I can't hear you.
It's because I had my mic muted for the open, that's why. Let's try this again. Welcome to On This Day in the 80s here on the PFC Entertainment Network. I need to check something out real quick, Joe, because I'm concerned. Okay. Doesn't look like it's... All right, good news. For whatever reason, when we live stream what we're doing here through our studio, the icons of the platforms pop up on my screen. And right before I hit record, and I told you I was making sure we're not set up for live stream because we don't live stream this particular show. The icons popped up on there, and I'm like, well, wait a fucking minute. Like, I just made sure that we're not live streaming this, but why are the logos popped up? So I had to go on Facebook to see if we were indeed live, and we're not. So, yeah, I don't know, just weird to me. It's been a weird vibe here today. I don't mind telling you. I woke up feeling anxious, like there's a low-key sense of panic. You know, when you feel like like the universe is sending you something. Like something is not quite kosher. And, man, I don't know. It makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up, which is a neat trick because I don't have any. So that's when I know, like something's fucking weird. Like I called my kids, made sure they were good. I called my dad, made sure he was good. Talked to Sam, she's doing her thing. So, like, by and large, it seems like everybody's okay. But, man, it's just a heaviness feeling. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. I get that. Probably more than I should. I have always been, even as a child, I worry about everything. I mean, actually, as I get older, I realize worrying isn't going to change it. So I try not to, but my mom used to say, you're going to have an ulcer by the time you're 10, because I worried about literally everything. But I do know
heard that saying too.
I do know that feeling so well, and I do the same thing. I'll call or text Roy, is everything okay at home? I'll shoot his stepmom a text, hey, how are you doing? His stepbrother's had a lot of health issues recently. So, like, I do that and text, like, good friends. Like, but, knock on wood, nothing like that I haven't had that feeling in a while. But I know that feeling. It's like you're waiting for that
Oh, I'm
shoe
glad
to
that
drop.
you haven't. Yeah, that's it. That is the perfect way to describe it. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. Mm-hmm. Like where's it gonna land? Yep. And I don't know. I hate that feeling. Mm-hmm. I'm already feeling weird about shit anyway. We're coming into the second week in December, and you and I were talking before we came on air with our shoot job and how wonderful they are. They've really made it to where our schedule has pretty much made it impossible, especially for you on your particular shift, to really enjoy the weekends leading up to the holidays
Yeah.
and going into the last few weeks of the year. And I, it, I see how this month is going to play out. Like there's more and more shit that keeps getting added to the calendar, and then the next thing you know, it's December the 24th, and you're looking back like, what the fuck am I doing other than having to go to the store at the 11th hour
Yeah.
to play catch up? You know, that's what I'm trying to avoid, but that's where all roads are leading. I don't mind telling you.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's so accurate. First of all, like after Black Friday, the crowds in the store, I can't do them. And I hate to be one of those people that just, oh, I can get this online, or I can get this online, or I'm just going to have it delivered. I don't like being that person, but when we're working 6 days, I don't want to spend multiple hours on my one day off doing a bunch of running.
Yeah.
And, you know, having shit delivered, or I use curbside pickup I ordered shoes. Because I don't like getting up and doing shit before I go to work.
Right.
And, like I said, one day off, I'm not spending it in a fucking store dealing with other people's attitude. I got enough attitudes at home I can deal with. And those ones I can tell shut the fuck up. Where if I do that in a store, I'm either probably going to get in a fight or go to jail. And I don't want either of those. So, a lot of curbside pickup.
I am at a point where I'm nervous about the whole online ordering thing because of where I live now. You know, if someone was to drop like packages off at the door, like I'm concerned that they're going to be there by the time I either get back to the place or wake up in time to. It's because I've been seeing these goddamn TikTok videos of
Porch
people's Ring doorbells, you know.
Yeah.
And people just coming up and snatching their shit straight, I mean, right up off their front porch.
Yeah.
And now then you go into that sidebar where you see the ones where they put shit in them and it explodes in their face. Now that shit's funny.
Oh, I love it. And then they have the nerve to get mad. You think this is funny? Yes.
I'm suing you.
Yes, I do.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. I'm stealing from you, but you retaliated, so yeah.
I'm gonna get you back.
Yeah, no, I always tell Roy, like, when I got, like, with Amazon, it'll tell you once it's 10 stops away. So I'll text Roy if I'm already gone, like, hey, it's going to be there in, like, probably a half an hour. Usually you got a half an hour to an hour, depending on the time of the day, if they're going to stop somewhere for lunch or whatever. So I always try to let him know if I'm not home, or if I'm expecting a package that day. Hey, be watching for it.
That's beneficial.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Yeah, it is nice.
Ugh.
And then sometimes I'll be like, did you grab it? Well, I have a medication, like a cream that I put on my face for hyperpigmentation, and it comes from a pharmacy out of town, and they drop it off, and I'm like, please be watching for that, because I don't want it to freeze, because then I don't know if it's going to work. It's got to be refrigerated. But when it got delivered, I just happened to be walking out to my car for work when he pulled up, so I grabbed it and ran it back in. Texted him, don't worry about it.
Well, 'tis the season.
Yep.
'Tis the season. I try to shop local as much as I can. But when you, like you said, you know, the convenience of Amazon has completely changed the game in terms of shopping,
Yeah.
Christmas shopping or otherwise. You don't have to leave the house if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Like somebody, you hit a couple buttons, you put your payment info in there, you hit, you know, submit order or whatever. within a day or two, it's sitting on your front door.
Yep.
Now, I did hear a story this week where Seattle, Washington, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania are two markets that are trying out this 30 minutes or less gimmick from Amazon. That they can have your shit to you within 30 minutes of you ordering it. Now, there are some restrictions as to what items are available for this kind of service. But they're trying it, and they're trying it in Seattle and Philly this week, and I'm curious to see how that's going to work out. I mean, you're going to be paying a little bit more for the convenience of it, or what have you, but it makes me wonder why, of all places in the United States, the continental United States, why was Seattle, Washington, and Philadelphia picked as the cities? So I wonder if they have one of their major distribution warehouses within a close proximity to that market, right?
Yeah.
So that's how they're able to do that. I don't know. It's crazy though.
Yeah. I know. One thing I would like to do for Christmas, I think it'd be fun. We have one of those pallet shop, or like the places that you can buy the pallets of like Amazon stuff or Target or whatever. I would love to buy one of those because you don't know what's in it, and just everyone pick gifts until they're gone. Like go in a circle and make a game of it. I think that would be fun.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I saw that for the first time a few weeks ago, and I'm like, wow, what a concept! You know, unreturned or returned items or what have you that people have purchased or wasn't what they wanted or whatever. They just throw it in these random ass boxes, and then you can bid on what box you want.
Yeah.
And there's no telling what you're going to find in there. I guess that's the fun part about it. But what happens if you get you draw the short straw and you're getting all Temu shit? You know what I mean?
The place by me actually now has Temu pallets.
Is that right?
Yes. The way they do it, it's like a Target one. They have appliance ones.
Okay.
Which has multiple appliances, whether it be like a whole fucking box of like KitchenAid mixers, or you can get stoves, refrigerators, what have you. And about a year ago, my neighbor and I went in on it because they were having a deal with their Amazon pallets at a certain price point where buy one, get one free.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do that. So $165, we got 2 full pallets. And there was some hits in there. There was some misses in there. But, I mean, if you have the money in the room to start that, there's people that make quite a killing on going and getting those and selling the shit.
See, I hadn't even thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
You can open up your own little store.
Yeah.
Your own little gimmick, yeah.
And there actually is a store in Bay City that they're not open, I think, on Monday and Tuesday. Well, Wednesday they have these like tables set up, and everything on Wednesday, everything in the tables is $5. You go in on Thursday, it's $4, and then I think when you go on Friday, everything is $2, and Saturday everything is $1 in these bins. And then she has a room where, you know, she has higher price points and stuff. But, I mean, you can go in there on a Saturday. Now, a lot of it's kind of stupid shit.
Sure.
But, like silicone drying mats, highlighters, glue. Like, tubes of super glue. And in this house, we always need super glue. And we'll have one. Someone will take it, not return it, and then you don't have it anymore. So I'm like, I'm buying a bunch of fucking glue. I'm sick of being without it. But yeah, I mean, and she does pretty good. It's always busy in there.
It's interesting. It's interesting what people are finding as their side hustle. It's the last shit that you would ever expect to be a thing.
Yeah.
But they wind up killing it, and they just kind of fall into that opportunity. Like, what if? And next thing you know, they got a whole secondary income flowing in. So I love that.
Yeah. And one table that's there, it's all phone cases. Phone cases. Okay. Maybe sometimes there'll be a tablet case in there. A lot of them though aren't marked, so you gotta make sure you have your phone. And a lot of them, they're like in resealable packages, so you can take it out and check it. It's pretty interesting.
That is interesting. People, I'd be curious. I would get in on that gimmick, just to see what all was involved in something like that. Why is this not coming up now? We're trying to get to where it goes. Trying to get to what we're here to talk about this week, and that is all things on December the 10th. But it's just having a real hard time loading for some reason. But I do believe I have it up here, so let me... yes, I do. All right. Before we get into all things on the 10th of December, have you talked to Rachel?
A little bit here and there. She's getting to the point where she's feeling up to sending reels back and forth, so
okay.
Seems to be doing pretty well on the mend.
Glad to hear that. I was thinking about her the other day just to see how things were going and hoping things were still moving in the right direction here. So I can really appreciate that. All right, let's get into December 10th in the 1980s, and among the headlines here, two big movies premiered on this day, both in 1982. Airplane 2, the sequel, premiered, which brought back Robert Hayes, Julie Haggerty, Lloyd Bridges, Rip Torn, Sonny Bono, and William Shatner. And then The Toy premiered with Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason. The Toy is one of what's become a cult classic now, Jill. Would you agree?
Yes. And I love that movie from the beginning. That was such a good movie.
100%. Richard Pryor, at this point in 1982, he was, primarily known for his stand-up. And if you ever watched Richard Pryor do his stand-up, back in the day, you could call him controversial, to say the least. Yeah. He just didn't give a fuck about anything.
Yes.
And just spoke his mind on stuff. And a lot of that we would see in the very first few seasons. He was a frequent guest on Saturday Night Live. And one of the most polarizing yet popular segments in SNL history was a bit that he did with Chevy Chase during the job interview. And some of the dialogue that was used, you got to keep in mind this was back in the late 70s when this premiered. Some of the dialogue, like if you hear it nowadays, you're like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
How did they get away with that? You know what I mean? But to see him in this genre, in a major motion picture opposite another TV icon in Jackie Gleason, but he was starting, he had been Hollywood royalty for a long time, based on Smokey and the Bandit and what he did with the Honeymooners on TV. But he's one of those names that when you heard his name, there was just an automatic underlying aura of respect that you put with Jackie Gleason. So these two paired together, it really worked. You could really see a chemistry between those two.
Yes. Yeah. And as a kid, I liked watching it because you saw this spoiled little kid with literally everything under the sun, to the point where he goes into a store and sees Richard Pryor like inserting himself without like in these toys playing with them, and the kid wants him instead of another actual toy. And
Right.
the premise of it was something different. And I had never seen anything like that as a kid. It was.
Mm-mm.
I love that movie. I love that one and Big are just two of my favorite movies.
Big is one of those movies. It took a minute for me to hop on board. Like I watched it when it first came out, and I'm like, okay, it's cool, it's okay, you know. It wasn't until years later when I actually sat down and watched it again, and just I took different aspects away from the story, what the underlying meaning was in these individual scenes and stuff. And I'm like, okay, all right, nowadays I have a better appreciation for it, you know. And I don't know if it's because Tom Hanks, the way he was regarded back then when he was making Big and the Money Pit and the Burbs, and like he was known, he was well known, he was popular, but he wasn't on that royalty list until we saw him in Philadelphia and Forrest Gump and all these other landmark major roles that he's done. But to go back and watch him in Big is like, wow, you had to start somewhere, and then you go further back to Bosom Buddies, and you're like, there's no way this is the same fucking guy.
Right, yeah. I mean, I can remember watching Bosom Buddies when it came out, and I mean, obviously as a kid, you don't realize like, oh, someday he is going to be something.
Right.
When you're watching him dressed up as a woman.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he is something. He is something special. Like he really emerged as one of the great actors in Hollywood, and you just would never have guessed that's where he would go. But it just goes to show, man, you find the right role, and you really get engulfed in it, and you put something out on film where people generations will look back on and be like, that was something special. Like that's what Forrest Gump is going to be. That's it's great. That and the Green Mile. The Green Mile doesn't get talked about enough.
No,
but I absolutely love that movie too.
That's a really good movie, and I mean I know why, but I hated the ending so much. But
yeah. That's Stephen King for you.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at some birthdays here today. Those folks who were prominent in the 1980s are going to be celebrating their birthdays here today. NBA referee Dick Bavada was born on this day. Actress Susan Day of the Partridge Family and L.A. Law fame was born on this day in 1952. In 54, Jack Hughes, lead singer for the band Wang Chung, was born on this day. Everybody have fun tonight, Jill. Would you consider those one of those one-hit wonders? Because I don't know of anything else that they did.
I can't remember if it's Dance Hall Days. That song by them I actually liked.
You didn't like Everybody Have Fun
No.
Tonight? Really?
No, hated it.
I liked it, and I'll tell you why I liked it. It's because the first time I heard it, or like actually paid attention to it, they used it for a WWF video montage. It was to celebrate the year in review in 1986. If that tells you anything, I still remember it to this day. They aired it on Saturday night's Main Event. So yeah. So when I think of Wayne Chung, I swear to God, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm hopeless. 1959, basketball player Mark Aguirre was born on this day. He was the number one overall pick in the 1981 NBA draft by the Dallas Mavericks, but we would know him later on in the 80s as a very prominent part of the Bad Boys era of the Detroit Pistons, back-to-back NBA champions. Mark Aguirre was a big reason why that was a thing. Jake from 16 Candles celebrates a birthday, born in 1960. Michael Schiefling, I guess is his last name. Do you know of anything else this guy did other than playing Jake?
No.
I mean, I could IMBD it or whatever that website is, but I don't care enough to, if I can be honest with you.
I really, thinking about it, I don't remember anything else.
Listen, I know he was the love interest or the target, I guess, the target character of 16 Candles. But watching that, even as a kid watching that, I was sitting there thinking, what a douche. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of these pretty boys that knows he's a pretty boy and acts accordingly. Mm-hmm. Like, there was nothing about this motherfucker where I'm like, all right, if I'm Molly Ringwald, I can see it. No, douche from head to toe. Not a fan. But happy birthday, Jake. Go blow on your 16 candles. Nia Peoples. Well, so. Nia Peoples celebrates a birthday today, born in 1961. Jill and I were talking before he came on here. We kind of low-key forgot about her.
Yeah.
But who we couldn't forget about was Raven Simone. First came across our radar as an addition to the Cosby Show. Last week we kind of went on a sidebar about adding different characters to an established TV family, which ones worked, which ones didn't. Raven Simone came in very late in the Cosby Show run, but she in my view, didn't really add anything more special to the show. She didn't really take away from it, from my perspective. She was just kind of there, I guess.
Yeah, I really just thought she was so cute, and again, I just thought she was annoying.
Yeah, I'm 100%. Like, there was nothing about. I was like, oh, not because we got on that conversation about Brian Bonzal, who joined the Family Ties cast as Andrew, and like he added to it. He gave something the Michael J. Fox, character could bounce off of. So I did there was really none of that here with Raven Simone that really jumped out of the screen as much as it did with the Family Ties situation. And then we would wind up seeing her later on. I've seen her way more than I care to with that show, That's So Raven, on the Disney Channel. My kids, both of them, like they were gravitated towards that show for a hot minute.
Yeah, Judy really liked that show.
Yeah, of course she did.
Yeah, she liked that show, and nope. You watch it, I'm going to go do dishes, because I don't want to hear any of that.
100%. Another notable birthday in terms of overall history. Poet Emily Dickinson, born on this day in 1830. Passed away at age 55 from kidney disease in 1886. So a little bit of history. And if we're going to be looking at history, let me just go ahead and mention these two little tidbits as well. Actually, three. We'll go three. In 1768, Jill, I mean, way back.
Way back.
The first edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica was published. Can you imagine how thick that book was back in the day? Like, what does mean? Anyway, look, I think I'm funny, so I don't give a fuck. In 1817, Mississippi joins the Union as the 20th U.S. state. The population back then was just a hair over 60,000. Now, over 3 million.
Oof. It grew a little bit.
And then yeah, a little bit. And I'm sure they're all happy about it, too. And in 1901, the first Nobel Prize ceremony was held in Stockholm. So, a little bit of history for you on December the 10th. All right. Those who passed away on this day.
Sorry. I get in here,
no,
when I get cold, I yawn. And it's chilly in here, so.
I totally understand. I really do. Notable passings that happened on this day. Let's see. Darren Robinson, rapper known as the Human Beatbox, passed away on this day in 1995 at age 28 from a heart attack.
Oh my
Jill.
God.
Like, for real, man. He was a member of the Fat Boys. That's how people may remember him. We just talked about this guy a little bit ago with the release of the toy that happened on this day. Well, unfortunately, in 2005 on this day, we lost Richard Pryor. Actor Philip McKeon, who played Tommy on the TV series Alice, passed away on this day. Also, the brother of Nancy McKeon, who we know as Joe from The Facts of Life. A little bit of history for you.
Okay, I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
My husband, when we bring up, like, old shows from the 80s and Facts of Life comes up, he had such a thing for her.
For Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Were you a Joe or a Blair kind of guy?
You know, both of them annoyed me to no end. Blair, the way she portrayed that character, like, she nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
She was the spoiled rich bitch, and she played that part to a T. So much, in fact, I recognized what both of them looked like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from a physical standpoint, and I realized. Looks wise, you're supposed to be gravitated towards Blair, but the human element goes over to Joe. Joe made me laugh, but I didn't find her appealing in that regard, I guess. Not until later on when they got to, like, where they opened their own store. And then she actually, like, did her hair and did her makeup and actually looked like a girl versus looking like a tomboy. At that point, I'm like, okay, well, you put side by side, I'm going with Joe every time.
Okay.
But before we got to that part of the series, I just like, she's funny, she's smart, she's the tomboy. I recognize that. Blair is the rich bitch, and I can't get past that.
Right.
So, and Natalie, like, same thing. Earlier on, annoyed the shit out of me. Later on, okay, she calmed it down a little bit. Tootie's always been the adorable one. Like, she was funny from the start and just kind of rode that throughout the duration of the series. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just had to know where you stand, or if my husband was just an odd one.
No, I wouldn't say he's odd.
Well.
Like I said, you know, Joe, I wouldn't look at that way until she actually started looking like a girl. So, I mean, that's just me. Also, on this day, we lost Tommy Tiny Lister. Folks will remember him as Debo from the Friday movies, or as Zeus in No Holds Barred, which he actually portrayed in the WWF in 1989 for a very short run with the company as they were promoting the No Holds Barred movie that he was opposite Hulk Hogan in. We lost him. And this last one, Jill, this one got me, man. Like, I ain't gonna lie. If you listen to any of our '80s show for any length of time, you know what a big fan of the Monkees I am. Well, on this day, just a few short years ago in 2021, we lost Michael Nesmith, the monkey that wore the the hat,
Yep.
the winter hat with the pom pom on it. That was Mike Nesmith, the actual first musician that joined the Monkees. The other ones had to be taught. Mike actually knew how to play the guitar, knew how to sing, knew how to write music. So he was the actual musician of the group. And he was my favorite monkey, I don't mind telling you.
Okay. I was a girl, so mine was Davy.
I mean, I get it. I do. He was kind of like the heartthrob. Mickey was the funny guy. Peter was just there.
Yeah.
He was like the
With the
comic
hair.
relief. Yeah. Mike was the more serious one.
Yeah.
And, Davy was the heartthrob. So they all filled in their roles pretty perfectly. Really don't have a whole lot to talk about in terms of television other than Flip Wilson hosted Saturday Night Live with special musical guest Stevie Nicks in '83, and then in '88, Kevin Kline hosted SNL with special musical guests singing the number one song in the entire world, probably the greatest song that's ever written. Jill, one of Jill's favorites. It's on every single one of her playlists, I have no doubt. Don't worry, be happy. Bobby McFerrin.
Can I mute you?
No, you don't. Oh, that shit's funny. So funny. Alright, let's talk about something serious. Let's look at the music. Albums released on this day. Journey in 1980 would release Dream After Dream, the Yumi soundtrack. I don't know what the Yumi is, but 1982, Dig the New Breed, the live album from the Jam, was dropped on this day. Blue Oyster Cult released their 10th album in 1985 called Club Ninja. Only got as high as number 63 in the Billboard charts, Jill. Not what we would call a success.
Yeah.
Probably Blue Oyster Cult probably just went ahead and ran their course by the time '85 rolled around. And then singles released 1989, and I don't know why we are in this little bubble for the last few weeks. Baby, Don't Forget My Number by Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, I couldn't even remember the song. Pre-recording, Jason had to sing a couple notes, and I'm like, oh, I know that song.
Baby, don't forget my number.
There's
Yeah.
the clip this week, guys.
There's your clip for the week. Yep. You're welcome. Let's look at a couple of the sports headlines, and then we will look at the number one songs in America. Sports headlines: Michael Dokes in 1982 TKO'd Mike Weaver in the first round to win the WBA Heavyweight Championship of the World. Something of an upset. This was before Mike Tyson is going to come in and start collecting all of the world titles to himself to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. In 1983, the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the New York Jets 34-7 in the last NFL game played at Shea Stadium in Queens. They would go on to what we know now as MetLife Stadium. Excuse me. In '84, the Detroit Lions went through three quarterbacks in a 24-3 loss to the Los Angeles Raiders on Monday Night Football. The Lions very rarely were featured on Monday Night Football, and it's games like that demonstrated why they weren't putting them in that prime real estate spot. Nowadays, they've been very prominently featured in primetime games, whether it's Thursday night football, Sunday night football, or the flagship of Monday night football. They were just on primetime this last week here in a winning effort over the Cowboys. Anytime they beat the Cowboys, it's a good day in my world.
Anytime
Can't stand the
anyone beats the Cowboys.
Cowboys. Cannot
Or,
with the Dallas Cowboys. America's team, not my fucking
The
team. I don't
boys.
mind telling you.
yeah.
Fuck that. How about them Cowboys? How about they go sucking ass? Uh, and then in 1986, Dominique Wilkins of the Atlanta Hawks scored 57 points against the Chicago Bulls. That's a shit ton of points for one guy.
Yeah.
The Hawks would go on to beat the Bulls 123-96 in Atlanta. Michael Jordan had only 41 points in that particular outing. This was before Jordan became Jordan-esque.
Yeah.
You know, he was getting his footing in the NBA. But I mean, within 2 years, like, people are recognizing who the fuck Michael Jordan
Right.
is. You know. All right. And that's going to lead us to our number one songs in America on December the 10th. The first three here, and again, these songs maintained the top spot for a long time in their respective spots. So 1980, we had Lady by Kenny Rogers. 81, Olivia Newton-John with Physical. And then 82, Truly by Lionel Richie. And then we get to 1983, Jill, and this song was... I remember when this song came out. I remember the first time I heard it. I remember thinking how much my mom loved this song, and I remember even my dad making a positive comment about it. 1983, we got a duet of two of the most prolific pop stars in the history of recorded music. Period. Paul McCartney of the Beatles and Michael Jackson would release the song Say, Say, Say. And what made this song so popular wasn't just the song itself, but the music video.
Yes.
And what they had them, how they had them interact with one another. And this, as Michael Jackson is ascending to the very tippy top of the world with the release of Thriller, like, he is very much in the Thriller era here. To have that stamp of endorsement from Paul McCartney was
Huge.
the last thing that Jackson needed to really be considered the king of pop.
Yes.
Would you agree?
I 100% agree with that.
Were you a fan of this song?
I mean, I wasn't one, like, it's not on any of my playlists, but I didn't hate it. I didn't turn it off when it came on the radio or turn off the video when it came on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't hate it. Not one of my all-time favorites, but I mean, I like it.
Well, I'll have you know it is on my 80s playlist, just because I know, you know, like I said, like my mom was a huge Beatles fan. You know, and so obviously she followed the individual efforts of the band once they broke up. You know, by this time John Lennon had already been assassinated. Ringo Starr was still trying to figure it out. Like, he was lending his talents as a drummer to kind of makeshift bands at this point while trying to get his own shit figured out. George Harrison, you know, putting his own stuff out there. But I you know, it's safe to say Paul McCartney, in terms of commercialism being played on the radio, that recognition, like, he was the one that was front and center above the rest of them once the Beatles had broken up. Thank you, Yoko Ono, stupid bitch. But be that as it may, to team up with Michael Jackson like that, it really set the pop world on fire.
Yeah.
It really did.
I mean, thinking back then, when it came out, it wasn't really just a song, it was an event.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Great way to put it. And I don't know if in this day and age, if we've got two recording artists that are universally accepted on that level, that if they were to collaborate, we would have that same feeling about it.
Right.
You know, like, what is this event? Like, we hear, oh, so and so is going to be recording with this individual. I think the last time a collab happened where I'm like, oh shit, you have my attention, was Elton John and Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
Because those two fuckers are on polar opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And what they did to me in the middle was nothing short of extraordinary.
Right.
I just don't know if we're going to have that collaboration that we're going to be looking forward to as much as we did with something like this.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I don't think I can. I really don't listen to the radio anymore. I really don't. I can't tell you the last time I had a radio station on in my car.
I do when I have my kids in the car, because I want them to be able to play whatever they want. I want them to listen to with whatever they want. But the shit that I'm hearing, like, they're back there just just loving life,
Yeah.
little heads bobbing away, and they're singing along with it, and I'm over here like, the fuck am I listening to right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now on
okay.
Spotify, I do have a list. It's called Kids Playlist, and it's songs that they like. I mean, there's certain ones I will not. I don't care who you are. I'm not going to listen to it. And Aubrey's upset that I refuse to put Cardi B. If I got to listen to it, I don't want my ear holes to bleed. And no, I don't. But they have their own playlist, so when they're in the car, they've all got something.
Appreciate that. But I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. All right. Thank God 1984 has a new #1 song, Jill. I don't have to sit there and regurgitate
Yeah.
a specific entry that has been on here the last few weeks. So thank you to Daryl Hall and John Oates for Out of Touch, which took over the #1 spot in 1984.
Far better song.
Bless your guys' hearts. Huh?
Far better song.
Way better.
Way
better. Old MacDonald is a better song than what that piece of shit was on here.
Yeah.
Anyway. 85, Mr. Mister with Broken Wings. Pretty decent song for a ballad. 86, The Next Time I Fall by Peter Cetera and Amy Grant. 87. 87, I remember this song. I love this song. To this day, I love this song. Belinda Carlisle is a low-key guilty pleasure of mine. And in 1987, she released a solo album, and the #1 song from that was Heaven is a Place on Earth.
I believe that's on my playlist.
And what I think about when I think about this song is the music video was a little risque, a little bit of PDA going on, with the shadows and stuff like that. But it was featured on a very special edition of Friday Night Videos that used to run on NBC, late night Friday night. And it was on the eve of a Saturday night's main event. So they had WWF superstars hosting Friday Night Videos. They had it broken up into 2 segments, and this segment had the Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth introducing this music video. And I remember that to this day. Plus, like I said, I dig the song.
Yeah.
So
She had another one off that album that I like too, and right now I cannot even think of the name.
I feel like she had 2 or 3 on this album that were released as singles and did fairly well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this one went to number one, um, and people kind of had her written off
Hmm.
because they didn't expect her to amount to much of anything once she ventured off on her own. I know the other one that comes to mind around this time, or not very long after, it may have been closer, like more into the early '90s, was Suzanne Hoffs of the
Yeah.
Bangles. Tried her own thing, and it just didn't. She really couldn't pick up steam, and I don't know if that's because of the popularity of the Bangles as a group, because I mean they were on fucking fire for a hot minute, you know. Whereas, what was it, the Go Go's
Yeah.
that Belinda Carlisle was part of?
Yep.
I mean, they had a couple decent songs, but if you were to put them in a tournament bracket, the Bengals are walking away from it 9.5 times out of 10. Just in terms of overall impact on the music scene. So, but Belinda Carlisle, man, she had it going on.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie.
Have you seen her lately?
You know, I think Sean Grugel showed me a picture of her a couple of years ago because he is or she is his hall pass. If 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 there was ever an opportunity for Sean to venture out,
Yeah.
it would the only exception to the rule is Belinda Carlisle for him. So um, I remember thinking, well, she don't look terrible.
No. She looks amazing for her age.
Yeah, she's up there now too.
Not sure exactly how old, but yeah. She definitely aged very well.
Yeah, she's one of them natural beauties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't even back then thinking, God, you don't really have to do a whole hell of a lot to
No.
her.
She was always
You-
very pretty.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. There's other ones that, as they get older, they have to keep going more extravagant in their upkeep or
Yeah,
whatever.
their surgical procedures.
Botox and all this other shit, and they wind up looking like Tim Allen and fucking Christmas with the Cranks, and his head looks all peeled back and shit. But I just can't. All right, 88, Chicago with Look Away.
Love that song.
That's a good one. Yup. That's one of those that gets you right there in the ticker.
Yeah.
And then in 1989, in my opinion, probably one of the more brilliant songs written in this era, Billy Joel with We Didn't Start the Fire. I liked that song.
Not my.
Have you heard the...
Yeah. Then who is it that does the newer version?
It's not... I'm going to have to look it up now.
Yeah. I've heard not the whole song, but I've heard like bits and pieces of it, of like how it's updated now.
Fall Out Boy.
Okay. I was thinking Blink 182, but close.
I was thinking of somebody like that.
Yeah, close.
Yeah, but they have Fall Out Boy here as the continuation or the latest version of that song. I don't know. I realize people have an opinion about it, and it's not one that's generally one of his greatest hits that people will go back and look back and be like, oh, that's if you're going to sample a piece of his brilliance. But I appreciated what all was featured in
Yes.
in that song and the way he was able to make it flow. I do appreciate that aspect of it. The music of it is like, meh, it is what it is. But lyrically, I took a lot away from that, and I really appreciated how he was able to piece everything together and then try to replicate that in some regard by anybody all these years later. It was a tall task. And it wasn't terrible. Like, they covered more recent events, but it didn't have that same feel for it that the original song
Right.
did when Billy Joel wrote it in the late 80s. So, I don't know. That was everything that happened on this day, December the 10th in the 1980s.
Nice.
We covered some cool shit.
Yeah.
Went on a couple sidebars. There was something else I was going to ask you, and I'll be damned if I can't remember what it is. Must have been important. All right. Well, we certainly appreciate everybody that tuned in here today with this week's edition. Like I said, we covered a lot of cool stuff on this week, and I think as we get closer to the actual holiday, we're going to start seeing more and more interesting headlines, news, notes, facts, figures that happened on this day in the 1980s. If you haven't done so already, check out our online stores. pfcholidays2025.printify.me has all of our Christmas themed apparel and merchandise over there. Something for everybody over on there. If you have a fan of our shows on your Christmas list, this is your one-stop shop. And if you don't want something necessarily that's geared towards Christmas, by God, head on over to pfcstore.printify.me. That has all of our merchandise on there. Look, I sat down, Samantha and I talked the other day, and she's like, if you were to sit down and actually make a list of shit that you really wanted from your stores, what does that look like? So I'm like, all right, that I really want, without thinking about how much it is, I'm making a list, and then I added it up. $2,813.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Just like that. You know what I mean? But it's like polo shirts for every one of our shows in case we do a live on location thing. A couple of hoodies that I made. Some hats. Hats is a big one. And the Christmas shit. Like, I found myself, like, half my list was just Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not very proud of a lot of shit that I do, but every once in a while something will start here, and then I can get it on screen the way that I envisioned it, and it's like, I did that. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty proud of myself, and I kind of want to celebrate that, like the varsity jackets.
Yeah.
Like, I love the way those turned out. And I wish I could afford to get one for every show.
Yeah.
Because they're all cool.
They're very cool.
So, I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit. Or I got to get rich. One of the two.
Yeah.
One of the two. But anyway. Anything else you want to throw out there this week?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, dear. Appreciate your time. Appreciate everybody that tuned in with us. We'll see you next week right here on This Day in the 80s on the PFC Entertainment Network.